do you think that now, if you're Ted Cruz, you're really up against the wall?
Look, I think after tonight, somebody can make a lot of money in Washington by offering sort of Trump acceptance courses for the hardcore and helping them walk through the angst, the psychological trauma, the difficulties they have coming to grips with reality. The fact is, if you look at the size of his margins, I can't imagine why anybody would argue that anyone else has any chance of becoming the nominee.
Exactly.
The party would tear itself apart if somebody else could. You know, this guy's going to have millions of votes more than anybody else. There's no reason to believe California, where he's already ahead by, I think, 18 points, 49 to 31, is going to get any better for Cruz or for Kasich. So I just look at all this stuff, and I can't imagine why people think that there's any alternative in the near future.
But, Newt, I don't want to get caught in the
Trump.
weeds here, but I just want to be clear of the process, if you indulge me, that he might not get the 1237, but he is so close to it and so far ahead that people will sort of fall in line. Is that the idea?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think there's a pretty good chance he's going to get to 1237.
Yeah.
Second, let's say he's at 1200, and that doesn't count the various people in Pennsylvania, many of whom have said that they will, in fact, vote with their congressional district. Look at the size of his margins in Pennsylvania. I think when you look out and you say, this is the guy who wrote The Art of the Deal. And so he's going to be sitting there the day after June 7th. Let's say he's 50 votes short. There are going to be 300 or 400, if you count Rubio's votes, for example. There'll be 300 or 400 uncommitted voters. Every one of them will be given a chance to fly to Mar-a-Lago in a Trump aircraft, to spend a week chatting about policy with Donald, to golf in the afternoons after the policy sessions, and hopefully out of all that to decide they have found the right candidate. What are the other two guys going to offer?
It'd be a killer if none of them golf, you know. I mean, but I guess. All right. Newt, that's interesting because if you play that out, what this means, though, is that he then has got to cobble together the doubters and get them just, why don't you just recognize this and go with me and make it inevitable. Part of that is whatever he says tonight, right?
To Newt's point, this man wrote The Art of the Deal. He is one of the most successful business negotiators, not only in real estate,
well, we
but
know
in
he's doing that
business
now
in the country.
Yeah.
And it already may be cooked. Who knows? I mean, this
Doubtful.
is not a... I'm sorry?
Doubtful.
Well, it may be doubtful. I'm speculating.
Lou, he didn't win ever.
I know.
I mean, he talked about
the guy who wrote,
remember the guy who wrote Art of the Deal forgot about Colorado.
Yeah.
well, exactly right. But he also said it was very.
Neil's point on that, if I may, because this is really important. After he did forget about Colorado, as you put it, he put together a narrative that has driven his campaign ever since.
If he did,
okay,
and the Republican establishment has played into that narrative, including their two last candidates who just imploded over.
Okay.
It was the combination.
If he followed his own advice in Art of the Deal, he would have won.
Don't you see what he did?
Let's talk about what his reaction to Ted Cruz working delegates in Colorado. He said he thought it would be unethical. He would have had a much better sell.
I don't think it's unethical.
He could. Charlie, I mean, those are his words. Charlie, I'm actually making the same point you're making. You have the attention span of a comatose gnat.
Okay.
All right. So let me finish this point.
Is that what that says there?
The point is, Charlie, that he came out and said it was unethical to do that. Will he shift his ethical priorities if it gets past June 7th and he doesn't have enough delegates and he only needs 50 or 60 more? Will he then find it in his heart to erode his morals?
The guy who wrote The Art of the Deal, as Lou said, he gets to the convention. As Newt said, maybe he's 50 votes, 50 delegates shy. He can't convince the 200 or 300 other delegates who will be up for grabs. He can't convince 50 of them to come over to his side with all that he's got going for him.
Well, that's a very, that's a very good. Newt, as I understand it, about 240 delegates are heading to the convention uncommitted, not to anyone.
Right.
So all he's got to do is peel off, you know, a couple of dozen of those, maybe a little bit more, huh?
Maybe none.
Maybe none, maybe none.
Guys, notice, first of all, he is overperforming. He overperformed last week in New York. Yep. He's overperforming tonight. I think he's going to keep on overperforming.
So what do you want to hear out of him tonight? How do you want him to seize this moment?
Look, I think he'd be better off to be a little bit more presidential. He doesn't agree. When you have a guy who's come this far, this fast on his own gut, it's a little bit much for me to say, gee, I have a better idea of what Donald Trump ought to do.
Well, should he say lying, Ted? Should he talk about anyone's eating habits?
No,
what do you think he does?
Look, I have no idea what he will do.
Yeah.
I think what he should do is be more presidential. The other night when he actually referred to Senator Cruz, I thought we were making some progress. That lasted about 12 hours.
That's about right, 12 hours, yeah.
But it's not because he doesn't have good habits. It's because he believes defining people very aggressively shrinks them and makes it impossible for them to be effective opponents.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We will break in.